How are
Good evening.
you?
Doing good.
Mm, mm. Had a good Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
What about
Mm.
yourself? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was great. It was just settling back in the valley here, and yeah, getting into some coding, which is good.
Hey
Hey, Alan
guys,
Ben.
Mm. Hey.
I've brought a friend with me. G'day.
Mm.
This is
Hi. What's your name?
Ben, sorry.
Hey, Ben.
Ben's working with us on the project. I've
Mhm.
drove down to Newcastle and we're doing a bit of a workshop over the next few weeks to pull together some documentation
Mm.
for the progress that we're working towards.
And lots of whiteboarding, lots of
Mm.
exploring.
Mm.
Yeah, and some good stuff so
Mhm.
far already.
So how do you capture all your ideas? With video or like photos?
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
taking a of the whiteboard at the end of the session, which has been quite helpful. But we've also been exploring with capturing voice recordings of the session as well.
Mm.
I was thinking it'd be really nice to create a bit of a pattern around the whiteboarding. It'd be great if you could just
Mm.
automatically have something whiteboard.
Yeah.
We're getting
Right.
feeding that back into the AIs too, and getting it's quite remarkable how the AI will start putting together a whole lot of like summary notes and insights around what was discussed, and yeah, so
Mhm.
all changing. Yeah, Victor.
Hey, where are you at, Victor?
I'm outside my house
Uh-huh.
for a walking meeting today.
Yes, nice. And
Wonderful.
you're in Portugal, Victor?
Yes, about an hour north of Lisbon.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Well, we are in Australia. Are you familiar with much of Australia?
I'm in Sydney, Melbourne,
Yeah.
Brisbane, I think is the places I can find on the map.
Okay. Now, I'm in a little valley, like a little country town. It's like a sort of alternate sort of hippie community around here. But it's very nice, very beautiful, and lots of good
Ellingen, which is
people.
where the project was born originally.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. That's it.
gorgeous.
Like 20 years ago. So
Mhm.
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
me and Ben were down in the Newcastle, just north of Sydney, probably an
Oh,
hour and a half.
mm,
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
nice. That's the best
Yeah,
to be. An hour and a half outside of the city. Close enough
yeah,
you can drag yourself there if you need to, but far enough that you're out of the craziness.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Does get crazy. But yeah, look, Victor, it's been really lovely sort of connecting in a bit with what you've been doing. And it seems like you're quite active in the sort of collaborative space, and looking at these new pathways, new ways of how we can sort of come together in communities and harness like our collective potential, lift it up. Um, it's yeah, it was good to catch up with Christine the other day and have a good chat about the Coherence project, and look at what you've been exploring there with the synthesis AI and things like that to try and help, use some of these modern tools to just solve some of the pain points that I guess groups have been running into over time, trying to organize.
Yeah.
So, mm,
Uh, I mean, thank you for the synthesis. I think what I would add is what I'm trying to do is to get the collaborators to collaborate, collaboration tool builders to collaborate. I don't think there's enough collaboration between collaboration tool builders, which means we end up with lots of projects, many of which are similar. Most, if not all of them, are under-resourced. And I think that is something that's holding back the kind of tech for good, whatever you want to describe, technologies for building a new society kind of a movement. That there is not enough coordination and coherence and interoperability in what people are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's I think when I began this work, which was probably about 20 years ago, I began by looking at communities and thinking community is a really good idea, like it makes sense on so many levels. But why is it not working, in a way that everyone should be flocking to communities, going, this is the best way to be living. But there's just all these stories where people hit these pain points and communities go through phases where they shine and then they collapse. And it's like, what's that about? And then, seeing a lot of communities that are very much in the same space, but they're not connecting the communities together. Like they could be helping each other, and you could be.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I sort of spent the first number of years like looking at a new type of community model that's actually like a support community. Something that we set up as bases in local areas that support local community, whether they're, just in a normal home situation or they're, exploring living on communities or whatever. But I thought there was that step that we were needing. We were needing support. And I developed these bases out, and they went to a good space. And then I got to the governance part and how people make decisions and how they resolve conflict, and then that has been the last 15 years of just like that's a big thing. And then it just
The rabbit holes of building a new society goes deep.
yeah, totally. And you start looking at all the anthropology, and you look at how we form societies, and why did we build the structures we've built today that are clearly failing us as a species. I think it's fair, almost pretty much every person on the planet will be able to look
But
at what we're doing.
themselves as structures are very successful.
Well, they're
Systems
powerful.
are
Like
very successful in spreading themselves. They're just not very successful at making us happy.
No. I mean, we grouped all our power together, but we haven't been able to really utilize it. I feel like we're far under our potential, and I think humans as a whole, we're nowhere near where we could be. And I think that's what gives me hope, is I feel like we're nowhere near our peak yet. And it's sort of like there's this possibility that's bubbling underneath human societies. And I think the technology is starting to come into position that now allows for us to start looking at reaching greater potential. Like I don't think it was possible before.
Yes, I fully agree. And then on the other side, what I see happening is the evolution of consciousness, spirituality, and a scientific understanding of systems and our place and role in them. which to me, I see those two converging, right? The ecosystemic view of that science is arriving at and a Unitarian view, non-dual view of the universe are converging. There is amazing work being done by John Vervaeke. Have you heard of John Vervaeke?
No.
He is my favorite. He's a cognitive, is a professor of cog science and Buddhist philosophy. And he does work at the intersection of mystical experience, religious experience, and cognitive science, bringing those together. So I think for me, it's the first time where there is a solid neuroscience, cognitive science coming together with religious experience and all of that. And just the way he engages with the idea space. He has a lot of stuff on YouTube. He became kind of came on the scene with, I think, a 50 series set of lectures on YouTube, Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. So a lot of people talk about the meta crisis or the poly crisis. And John Vervaeke talks about the meaning crisis. Which I think underlies all of it. But we're certainly far from having arrived at a universal spiritual religious framework. But I think with the access to all of the wisdom traditions that we have, and a lot of people working at finding the similarities, the intersections, and synthesizing, we're starting on the path that points to where we can create a sense of unity, and also a sense of unity in diversity, not one in wiping out all of the other beliefs. So that's where I see is the exciting, that's what we need. We need the intersection of both. We can't have the theologians, theoreticians, scientists in one bucket and the people building technology in a completely separate building doing their own thing. We need the intersection. Especially when we come to talking about AI, right? There's clearly a conversation now about how do we train AI to have the right values. And that means we're finally going to have a proper serious conversation about what are the right values and how do we determine them. So
yeah, I mean, and these are things that are streaming out of the human experience, you know, like we all individually have a different experience of reality. And then we are all individually connected into systems that capture the patterns of our experience into some sort of form. You know, we're having a conversation now, structuring sound waves that we can decipher with language. It's amazing, you know, and we're transferring information now that has patterns. And then we can embed that into writing or videos or music or whatever it is. But what I think is the greatest challenge is how do we make sense of all of those patterns? How do we make sense of the flows? You know, this is critical for us to develop the intelligence we need for the coordination to capture all that diversity, you know, to be able to map human experience so collectively we can have an experience where we're saying, hey, the planet is in pain right now. And the planet's really important because we depend on it for our
one we
life.
have so far.
Yeah, it is. And so
I am playing with this idea of, look, one planet, one team. Doesn't need to be more complicated than that.
Yeah, totally. And that's the future vision, you know, of what we've been working on too, is a world without borders, like get rid of that. Like we can move into that, like the idea of countries, and that is just a very clumsy social strategy. And it's just all we've been able to do to try and organize. But
yeah, I mean, it's what emerged in the realities of the 18th century, given the communication and other technologies and understanding of time. It was the best we could do 200-300 years ago. I don't think it's the best we can do today. At the same time, it's a strongly embedded system, a very strong local maximum, which means that we're going to take a whole chunk of work to get out of it?
Well, my thoughts on that is we have to create new systems that are attractive for the existing systems to adopt. But as they adopt, they start to change. They change form, and we have what's beautiful. So Ben, who's with us today, is working at the top level of the Australian government, doing AI integration and just seeing a whole world of pain there of people in bureaucracies trying to make decisions and all the politics and all the mess. But there is pain there, and we can
I mean,
introduce.
in their defense, something that I've been thinking about is the level of complexity of society has exploded over the past 100 years. So the structures that they're working with are inadequate for the level of complexity of the world.
Yeah, totally. And that's the motive with the big AIs that have been developed, is to try and manage the increased complexity. But the trajectory with the big tech companies is like, let's build AI gods to rule the world, and we've centralized the entire world, we've digitized the whole world, and now we're building AI gods and robots, and it's just like we're there's another element here that I think is has not been tapped into, which is the human, like how we're incredible systems, and we are vastly underutilized by human systems and human structures. And so there's this enormous potential if we can tap into that human experience at a much deeper and more complex level and build more complex connectivity between humans. I very much see the possibility to develop a type of human-centric supercomputer, that I think can rival the big AIs. It's, we're very impressive. We're just we're not using our full potential.
Yeah, I mean, there is arguably society is a supercomputer, right? In this sense, it's a supercognition developed using all of the things. I think for me, the path forward is a integration, right? That's why with Coherence came onto this idea of humans and AI wiser together, which I understand is a provocation, because I guess there's an argument to be made that an AI cannot be wise, but I think it's an interesting exploration, right? How do we work and create AIs which enable us to be wiser, and also systems, paths of training the AI which enable the AI to be wiser? And that's the dream behind Coherence, of creating a stream of conversations of ideas to be put into the AI to be enable it to be wiser. But I'm really conscious it's you and me talking, and there is 3 other people on the call. So given that I think we've done an amazing introduction, and it feels like we have a super shared idea space. What is our hope for this call? And Christine, maybe you want to chime in, and then the guys?
Sure. Well, I thought there would be a lot of creative energy between Paul and Victor, which I think is just starting to scratch the surface of that. Yeah, we could talk about Coherence's needs, so the actual plans for the AI, and maybe I did mention regenerative OS to Paul and Alistair as a concept. So if that's something you're still like you want to talk about now, Victor, you could raise that. But I feel like, Paul, it'd be great to hear from you of just some of the nitty-gritty of what ThoughtWave does. And so Victor can get a hold of that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you want to say anything, Al and Ben? You want to jump in on any?
Let's set the groundwork with how the technology works, and then we can riff off that. Now we're all aligned on the same page of what capabilities we have currently.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, Yep.
Let me answer. Can I answer Christine's things? Because I can do it in 2 minutes, in 1 minute. So the region OS idea, I'm floating it out there as a banner for getting us to think about what would the set of technologies and interoperable protocols be for a regenerative society and economy. That's really at the level it's now. It's the start of an idea, and can we start talking about it? And in terms of Coherence's needs, well, I mean, we have the MVP, which has a bunch of conversations, and now we're starting to plan the app and want to figure out and ideally not have to build the AI component ourselves. So that's the answer to those two points.
Yeah, well, I can definitely see ThoughtWave plugging into what you're doing and what you're needing in terms of synthesis, and the regenerative OS for me is very much like a nervous system in the body. And, you know, there's a lot of tools out there that will sort of map thinking, but what's really important is that we understand neural function as well in the experiences that people are having, because we will move from positions of awareness through to action. And in terms of being regenerative, there's these neural layers to what we're doing that require coordination. So there's an intelligence, I think the ultimate around regenerative OS for me is about intelligence. It's about healthy system. And you know, we can arrive at those positions mimicking nature, looking at the human body, looking at how things function. But you know, with ThoughtWave, the work was inspired. Like I've been in the very deep parts of the Google technology. So I've dominated Google for a very long time. And set up, you know, Australia's first large-scale search engine marketing company. So that was back in the early 2000s, and I just had a very good understanding of what Google was doing with their indexing and what they were trying to achieve. And at that time, I saw that it was impossible for Google to organize the information of the world. I was like, they just will never do it because they don't have the deep relationships with the humans that are providing the important information for what is valued and what has relevance to the world. So, and then I watched Facebook, and I went down into the social technologies and saw the same thing, that they were scraping to try and grab all this information from relationships, but they weren't consensual, they were shallow, and they didn't give them the information they needed. So ThoughtWave came about by looking at that problem and saying, how can we build deeper relationships? And firstly, you know, we need trust. We need, you know, that feeling of sovereignty over our position. And, you know, these are the ultimate positions for us to be able to build deep relationship. But also, you know, where I got to was this idea again of support, that the world is incredibly complex. Humans are overwhelmed by all the information in the world and trying to make sense of everything. And so ThoughtWave was simply like looking at the value of AI, which I've been building for a long time, like maybe 15 years. I've been building my own AIs, and again, went very deep into the Google world, pulled their data apart to a level where I built an architecture during COVID for the government and Prime Minister. Like we you know, we're looking at how to protect people's privacy, but understand where there could be outbreaks of COVID, and, you know, looking at a very different way of doing things to what Google was looking at. But, you know, I through all that work, I started to see more and more value in how we can use AI, and started to see this division of labor where we have the human essentially as the membrane to reality and perfectly designed to interact with the complexity of the world. And then through the relationship with the AI, they share the experience, which then the AI deeply patterns to understand the human experience in depth, but also as those experiences are shared across network, other humans have experience of what's been shared. And then we have deep patterning that's starting to illuminate a value that gives us an ability to finally understand what's relevant and what's valuable to an individual position, because we all have different needs, we all value things differently. So the system that we've been building is very much around hyper personalization, but it is also about vastly amplifying our ability to build collective intelligence and start. So it's the patterns. It's like we've been missing these patterns. This is the whole thesis, I guess, of ThoughtWave is that the patterns were never enough in any of the human systems. And now we stand on this threshold of being, we could 100x, 1000x times the amount of patterning that we're getting through these relationships, which then opens up the connectivity that we've been trying to reach as collective. So yeah, we're right on the verge of our first MVP too. So we've built a prototype, got that working, and we're just about to roll an MVP out into a networking event that we're calling Sacred Social, because we're wanting to bring attention to the importance of social and that it is sacred, but we're using social too much in the world to do all these things we don't actually need to be doing, and they're exhausting us socially. So that's ThoughtWave takes all of those things away. And then when we are social, we do it well. We come together with presence and yeah.
And just to hit the nail, just drive that home, ThoughtWave is a patterning technology. So a user is to record or input a thought, and then patterns it across a bunch of dimensions. And based off those dimensions, we can identify other patterns on the network that other people are contributing, and we can find relationship between those and connect them based off the synchronicities between them. And that's the emerging system that we're building. And at the moment, we're doing a minimal viable product based on that, with these dimensions, which are based on subject, so where it belongs, what the intent behind it is, which is the neural layer, and then the feeling. So we kind of gauging these dimensions can move on between many levels and contexts, but as core, we just want to demonstrate with these, and do see this as we're developing it with the intent to be a global system, but there is a pathway towards being a global system, and that does involve having a decentralized infrastructure, which is where Christine connected with Adam, and Adam is a core part of that for us to be able to go into a global network, but currently not there right now. So we're just trying to prove out the tech within smaller groups and demonstrate this patterning technology within that to be able to synthesize a space essentially, and what is the collective thinking around within a container, and what are the emerging patterns of that. And essentially people can contribute within that space and get connected to people that are thinking along the same lines of them, or in polarization, creating opportunities for clarification on something that may not have clarity.
Actually, the polarization is a really big thing. It's a really big problem in current frameworks. We polarize very easily. And this system's about recognizing that really we have more that connects us rather than divides us. And so it's really bringing those, connections to life, and moving us away from echo chambers and all those sorts of problems that we've had in existing networks. Yeah.
But yeah, we're close to being able to kind of pull together I sent a video through to you, Christine, which showed you where the current user interface is at, and Paul's in the process of essentially plugging in all the back end operations so that it becomes functional, and so we can start using it ourselves. We've done some initial testing with some groups in the early alpha tweakings, just to make sure that the patterning's working. We're seeing formations, and now we're kind of in the process of now trying to get it to a stage where we can invite more of a real world data scenario, and demonstrate this on a smaller scale, so that we can say, well, if we connect this is where we're going. Let's do the math. But that's where we are at, and that is our kind of focus, to be able to prove this tech, because have been developing this technology on gas. This has completely been a passion-driven project. We're throwing ourselves in it. We've got no resort. The world is on its way, and we need to kind of step up to the table. And we're doing everything we can to get this over the line. And we're a small, agile team to do so.
Well, it's been on a journey though, because there was the opportunity. There was an opportunity with the military in Australia, where they were going to put $1 million down. We were going to look at it in a recruiting space in the military, and then another investor jumped in, and he had lots of money and lots of promises, and then imploded. But it is an amazing network around, because the project's been going for quite a while. There's a really good community of support around it, that are feeling it. And we're almost there. We're almost ready to, it feels like this will be the liftoff moment for us in the next maybe, 3 or 4 weeks. I think we'll have it running.
But it was exciting because giving a link towards Coherence, we jumped on and listened to some of the material you guys had, some of the discussions, and I was listening to you, Victor, and I was like, this guy's speaking just like Paul Forrest. I'm excited to hear the conversation between these guys, and there's certainly is some synergy that is to emerge here. You guys are singing the same song as us. What does this mean? And I think that's why we're on this conversation.
Yeah, I'm always excited when I meet other people that have similar ideas, because it means I'm not too far ahead or not too crazy. I have spent times in my life where I was being too early is as bad as being wrong in the world of software systems. So I'm always really excited. And I have had the same conversation at least a dozen times over the last 2 or 3 months, probably more, probably 20 or 30 times. So we are all channeling from a similar vision of the future, which is beautiful. And now I see my role in all of this is figuring out a way that we can all work together and figure out ways that we can, I think that's a tick, figure out ways that we can get resourced together. So it, and what I'm actually really interested is the next step in these systems. It's okay, you find other people that are talking, having similar conversations like we are now, and what next, right? How do we build the AI that helps us take the next step and the next step and the next step, figuring out from a palette of possible next steps. But first, let's figure it out for ourselves. So yeah, I am super excited. I think definitely, Christine, region OS, which means all of these conversations and the privacy conversations and the blockchains for new organizations and these things, that will be the theme of the big Coherence. Because I can tell you if with just a general kind of going through the network that I've had a dozen or 2 dozen of these conversations, there is hundreds, if not thousands of other people in the world that we don't know about yet, that are either working on this, thinking about this, or would like to work on it. So there is definitely the energy for a movement there. We need to, that's in a way, that's the goal of Coherence, is to shake the tree and see who falls out. And then start figuring out from that of how do we bring it together. You know, I'm not against competition, but maybe we do not need 20 competing projects. Maybe 2 or 3 is enough. Right? Maybe if you guys are advanced in this matching technology, maybe you can develop in such a way that other people that are working on networks or social networks for good can use your technology, right? I think there is a lot of people. Of course, when you have a technology like this, you're like, okay, I need to develop an MVP, something for people use it. So I start developing a social network, social graph, But maybe some people can just develop the backend technology that enables lots of other people to bring the front end. Figure out. That's what I mean about region OS. And for me, it's not one piece of software. It's interoperable protocols that enable hundreds, thousands, millions of apps to plug in together, right? And for example, you have this great technology, but you will not be able to develop the variation of it for every single niche. Right? Like, for example, I have a friend, he's working on soil health. He's doing a startup in Poland that's Uber for soil health testing for farmers. And that gives me a bit of an insight. There's the whole knowledge of farming, right? Farmers need a social network, right? And there you want to pattern match, right? I don't want advice from a random guy. I want advice from a guy that's got similar soil and similar conditions to me. And that advice will be golden. How to do this and in a privacy maintaining way and so on and so forth, right? And that's just one niche. There's a million others, right? So how can we create systems which enable the core to be similar or the same, and then enable different people to develop things for each particular niche?
Well, I mean, the direction we're moving is this, like we want to open source this technology. We want to get it out to the world. We're trying to help solve these problems that we see. There's a lot of groups, a lot of people thinking in this space. It's awesome, lots of potential, but the coordination is still not there. And you know, you're touching on this today, and I think what we're introducing is not a social network. It's a thought network. So it's very different to social. It's sort of, we actually, in ThoughtWave, there is no social identity. You have no, you're a pattern, you contribute thoughts, your thoughts are patterned into flows. One thought will be from this person in China that's an old man. The next thought that you engage with is a young girl in Sweden. The next is some, you know, mother in Africa somewhere. And, you know, you just sort of, it can bounce around the world and you can literally have a thought conversation with a whole lot of people. But you won't, the idea is you'll just be in flow, like the AIs are taking care of all the complex patterning and then aligning to your position as you're moving through the thought flows. And, you know, we feel that this could open up a new way of how we think together more effectively. And then that idea of the social, social is absolutely critical to our well-being. But let's do it really well. Let's, you know, if we're going to get together, where it matters, you know, like, and if we're a group of farmers, use a thought network to organize and coordinate and operate, have that happening, but then come together with your families and get to know each other personally, and don't talk about farming. just your farmers, yeah. You know, form relationship that's deep, and you know, I think this is something that we miss a lot. It's sort of, we're just trying to use social so much to do everything, and we're just exhausted. It's sort of overwhelming in the current world. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, also social, I'm really frustrated because nothing has changed in 27 years.
yeah.
I remember 6degrees.com, which, by the way,
Uh-huh.
crashed and burned because they were too early. And I think if those guys haven't committed suicide yet, they're drinking themselves to an early death. Because watching everything that came after that must be the most
Yeah.
frustrating thing on earth. But the follower following thing hasn't changed in 27 years. And it's a
Mm,
really, really shallow amount of information. It's got zero reputation.
mm,
So I really think that the
mm,
next level, the next thing needs to be networks that include trust and
mm,
reputation, relationships, and
mm.
multidimensional, because trust is not absolute. You know,
No, no.
it's trust for what?
Mm,
And there are some people working on that. So yeah, I mean, it's incredibly exciting. I think
mm.
hopefully there is a new wave. I think definitely we need to come together. So you mentioned that you're doing an event,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
this
it's
correctly.
an event.
Can you say a bit more about that?
So we had the idea, we want to demonstrate the thought networking and the power of thought networking. And so we thought, let's do a networking event that people generally come together to make contacts and talk to people. But we actually bring people together and no one talks for the day. So we actually hold an event where we are in silence. It's the noble silence. It's group meditations, qigong. It's sort of nourishing food. It's sort of just being present with each other socially. And then on the day, people move off and they share their thoughts through the app individually. That's not in social conversations. And then through the app, the thoughts are patterning. And at the end of the day, they receive a profile showing how they were valued in through the day, and then alignments that formed with other people, and you know what the shared thinking was, where the value was, and then a invitation to meet these people. So then you still don't know identity at that point, but you say, yes, I'd like to meet this person. If they also agree, then your identity is revealed and you connect together. So, you know, it's a very new idea, but it's something we feel would demonstrate our technology really well. And yeah, potentially also be another sort of product in itself for doing networking events um, silently.
I mean, I love it. I don't have a sense of whether it makes sense or not, whether it would work, but I love it because I really love anybody that's experimenting with event
Mm,
experience formats. That's something
yeah.
that I'm really frustrated with. That's exactly what coherence comes from, that I think we need to
Mm,
innovate and iterate experience formats. The gathering, the in-person, it's an intersection of a festival, a conference, a trade show, a transformative event
mm,
for organizations rather than individuals is one thing.
mm,
And then coherence also, it's really interesting. If you look around the world, you can get a
mm.
conference on any subject that you imagine and thousands that you never imagined, but it's all the same bloody format,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
look
yeah.
for innovation in how we come together. It's
Mm,
very, very rare. I haven't done
mm,
any deep scientific thought why that is, but it's quite clearly is. So super
mm,
exciting
mm.
that you're experimenting. And when are you holding this? I missed the
Look, we've
first
got
part.
yeah, maybe it might be maybe 6 to 8 weeks away. We're sort of just putting it. We've got event people that have stepped up and said, "Yep, we want to run this." So we have our first meeting with those guys next Saturday, and then I just need to do the coding to bring the app to this new version. But yeah, that's going really well. So, but we did think about it. We've been talking about with just general events too. If you rock up somewhere and there's like 1,000 people at an event, we could also use this tech where you could be having thought conversations at the event, and then identities are revealing through the day to say, oh, here's someone at the event that is
So I
very
have
aligned.
thought a lot about this, and that's
Mm,
exactly one of the use cases of coherence. But the way
mm,
I see it is not during the event, but before the event.
mhm,
And the reason for that is people doing in-person events are really
mm,
struggling for online engagement before, after the event. Nobody has a good idea,
mm.
or at least
Yeah, yeah,
I've never come across it. And the world is big, maybe one person does, but certainly it hasn't gone out into the world. People are like, oh, we'll
yeah,
do a webinar and people can meet each other in a 5-minute breakout room. Like, okay,
yeah,
nice, better than nothing, but still
yeah.
very little. So I
Mm,
think what you described would be perfect before the event. And then
mhm,
when I come to the event, I meet the people in person. And the reason for that is, in general, I want people on the app as little and on their phone as little as possible when they're
yeah,
physically
yeah,
present. It's
yeah, sure.
really special time, sacred in
Mhm,
a way.
mm,
Of course, I'm not saying don't allow phones. You know, we can have some small things which support. I built this app called
mm,
Connect for Action for the last year's gathering, to
mm,
get people to declare when they actually make a connection and they decide to do something, to declare it, and so it goes out into their tribe. But in general, I think that makes perfect sense before the event.
mhm. Yeah,
And then it
that would
also,
work.
you arrive at the event already with a list of people who you want to talk to, and you know why you want to
Mm,
talk to them, and you've done the kind of
mm.
pre-getting to know each other.
I
Hmm.
think
I,
I think
I
from
actually like how you flipped the scripts there, Victor. Because the pain point that people are having at the moment with the networking events is, if you go to an event with 30 people, it's really hard to have a meaningful engagement with everyone to try and find that person. So it's kind of like a little bit of a gamble. So you might talk to 12 of them,
Mm,
speak with each one for 5 minutes or so, and maybe not say the right thing that goes, aha, I actually have got something to give to that. Um,
mm, mm,
so if you're a farmer and there's someone that's trying to, you know, look for a property to grow food on, and you go to that event and you guys don't connect, that's a wasted, networking event. And we want to get
mm,
people connected and speaking about the things that they're aligned on, where there's synergy, instead of wasting that time
yeah,
in inefficiencies in
mm,
conversations that aren't actually carrying you forward on your mission.
mm.
And
It'd be,
that's an event with 30 people. Web Summit has 70,000.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Good luck.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, actually, like this tech will work better with more people. So 70,000 is actually great. That's beautiful. We've got so many patterns. Uh, but it's actually, we're not event people too. So here's the collaboration. It's like you do events. Let us know how do you want to do that? How could you use the tech? And we can just, you know,
So this is
pull.
where I think this is definitely a potential where we can go into deeper conversation, and I would love to continue to engage, because I see there is a Bermuda Triangle in the world
Mm,
where people don't understand events and experiences.
mm,
Experience and events people don't understand software. So they can't tell
mm,
you what to do because they have no idea. The only people who understand experience and software is games people, but all they know is
mhm.
how to suck people out of the real world into the virtual. So
Yeah.
there is this empty sucking vacuum of who understands how to build experience to bring people together in the real world and to develop software. And that's where I think I have, because I have 30 years plus in the software space, now 5, 7 years in events. So I'm starting to have a good understanding of both sides, which I think is fairly unique. So yeah, let's talk about that, because that's been, for me, for Coherence, I see 3 use cases. One is exactly this, pre-event, maybe post-event for physical events. Other is as standalone online events. And the other one is as a way of bringing AI-ifying organizations or ecosystems. Because I think as people will want to AI-ify their organizations, they're going to very quickly discover that most of what matters is not inside documents or even really inside people's emails and chats, it's inside people's heads. So how do you get an organization out of people's heads into the AI? And I imagine Coherence, so having people have conversations and talk with other people in the organization about what they're doing, what is important, will be a really low effort, easy way to get that knowledge out of people and into the AI. So, and I think ThoughtWave would fit in as a different modality than the Coherence into probably all 3 of those use cases.
Yeah, I think it'd be really valuable actually just putting together a brief on those. And then we could develop something out and come back to you, Victor, and say, how does this look? And, you know, we could massage it from that point, you know, just because yeah, that's great. That sounded good. We just want to, you know, we feel like this tech can really help just coordinate people that are in groups and to think and to have value from the experience. And so any of these opportunities would be wonderful.
Brilliant. So yeah, my short-term schedule over the next few months is at the end of August doing a gathering in Czechia. Probably it's far for you guys to travel, but if you can, will be amazing people working on different parts of the region OS coming together. So I want to really start to have more conversations, cohering and seeing where we can come together and collaborate. And then during over a similar time, working on developing the specs for Coherence, also seeing in partnership with whom we will develop it, and so on and so forth. So we'll share that journey with you, and we can see how we can come together.
You know, there's another possibility too, Victor, is we will be using this tech ourselves as a team very shortly. And we feel that we're excited by that. But if that experience for us is like, oh, wow, we're really starting to coordinate a lot better as a team, you know, we could offer this tech for your team to play around with and see how that is that something that could help you and your team to be able to coordinate more effectively.
No more Telegram. Yay.
Well,
Yeah.
like as we know, there's a whole bunch of us on this call right now, and we're having to take turns to speak. It's loudest voice, you know, it's the one that speaks the loudest, and we're moving along. But there's actually a symphony of thinking happening right now. You know, maybe what I'm saying is not actually what's most important. It's what Christine has been thinking this whole time. We need to get this stuff out there. We need to get it software. We need to get the best thinking up top. That best thinking is not based on identity. It's based on merit of the actual thinking itself.
Yeah. That's it. Go beyond time, space constraints.
Yes, beautiful. I love it. I look forward to learning more. And yeah, I think what I'm a technologist, which over the years has made me really frustrated with technology people, and everything, and made me appreciate that actually what matters is humans and figuring out how to get your technology to market, not your technology.
Yeah.
It has been a really painful and heartbreaking lesson, both on my projects, but even more so on other projects, seeing over the last 20, 30 years, so many amazing projects for new ways of working, communicating, get nowhere because they didn't have a sensible path to market. So this
You're
is
at a month.
something that I really want to work on and contribute, is that yes,
Right.
we are working on these amazing things, but we're doing it in a way where we're
Mm.
coming up with ways to take this to the market and to the market at
Mm-hmm.
large.
Mm.
Another
Right.
idea that I'm floating out there is how to get
Mm.
1 billion users into the Regen OS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I mean, it's possible. This type of tech, it's definitely possible. Like it's a laterally scaling, and ultimately we want to do the peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is still not there yet, but it's possible. But yeah, I think we are open to these ideas, Victor, and we're looking to build out relationships, expand the team. We're open to collaborating with people in this space. Our mission is to just try and help make the world a better place. And we are
And
inspired by what we're seeing with you guys, and it feels very aligned. So, and we're open to criticism too. We don't mind people going, "Hey, I used your app and it was really shitty." I'm like, okay, cool. Let's have a look at that and see what we can do better. And we're not very ego driven, our team. We're more on results and trying to get yeah, make it work,
we're on a
make it
mission. We're
on
here
a
to do
on a mission.
service to the
Yeah,
world, and we're
yeah.
looking for like-minded people that are on this mission. And if you guys think, that maybe we've got synergy with some other people, would love to take some recommendations of who we could speak with as well.
Mm. You're on mute, Victor. Yep.
You just made a pitch for Coherence, because that's what Coherence is all about.
Okay. We're very
Coherence
aligned
answers the question, who should I be talking and collaborating with? There you go.
Nice.
So that's, yeah, I mean, that's what we're working on. In the fall, we will kick it off already. I mean, you can see from the conversations that were there on YouTube.
Mm.
I will also look through and suggest one or two.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think time is now. I would say maybe the only thing that I want to add to our conversation that we didn't touch upon is, yes, we need all of these technologies, but we also need to build a culture of collaboration, a culture of talking to each other, structures
Mm.
where, even if organizations are not collaborating, they're talking on a regular basis and advising each other. And just a deep understanding, which I think you guys have, but maybe not everybody appreciates, is that we're all in this together. And it
Mm.
doesn't really matter whether you thought wave takes over, coherence takes over, something
Mm.
else,
Yeah,
succeeds, because we're all
yeah,
succeeding, right? And most
yeah.
likely any project that succeeds will help all of the others
Mm.
succeed.
Mm. Oh, there's been a lot of times, Victor. This has been a very hard journey, and there's definitely been part of me that would have loved to discover someone else doing it better and just go, great, I'll stop what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
it's, so far we're still feeling like we've got something very unique, and we've just got to get it out there to, like, once people can experience it, it will start to make more sense. But yeah, it's
Yes,
going to be
yes,
a journey.
yes, and maybe to really succeed in the market, it needs to combine with some of the other pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coherence,
Yeah,
events,
yeah,
maybe something that somebody
yeah,
else, maybe it's the trust reputation networks,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
most likely that none of that's why when I'm really trying to not move too fast forward with Coherence, because I have absolutely no
Mm.
interest to do a standalone startup.
Yeah,
Me,
good. Yeah,
myself, or some
yeah.
team raising out, or no, I want to do it from the start in collaboration with you, with a
Mm.
bunch of other organizations,
Mm.
where yes, it's a standalone business and an app, but from the start, it works by interoperating with the AI, with some people building social networks or whatever.
Mm.
also really pioneer building together as a, I have this idea of venture family. I won't get into it, but I'll send you this thing. And the thesis being basically is just as humans are weak, stupid, and fragile alone, we only become strong, resilient, and smart in larger groups, right? That's why we got where we got by larger groups. So building companies alone makes them fragile and really tough. And can we find a way to build companies in families, making them more resilient, wiser, and just more fun?
Yes, we believe so.
Awesome. No.
Well, for my final piece, I'll just throw in the idea of I'm really getting some vibes about hackathons for some reason. So in my mind, I can imagine getting groups of these people together from all the different apps and products and actually setting some goals together and having that space. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, because it's very thought wave can move very quickly, like with the patterning and bring coders together with focuses in different. If we're trying to build out something on a day, it can group people very quickly into different areas and start getting them moving. Where it's not one person speaking at a time; it's everyone thinking together at once and. Yeah, so that'd be great. I'd love to explore hackathons. And the other thing we've got too as an option is a pre-social layer for dating, which is another. It's a very important thing in the world. It's a very messy.
Any technology for collaboration definitely has applicability to dating.
To dating, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's been a. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, on the hackathon front, technology-wise, who are you guys connecting with in that space?
Oh, I'm just bringing this idea like really recently also to Victor, but I'm not sure. Like we have to talk about it. So yeah.
So, but there is a larger community doing the technology development.
There is a bunch of organizations, a lot that once we're in closer conversation are coming together in Czechia in person at the end of August. There's Planeteer, not Palantir, Planeteer, Alelo that's starting up now, Jogo. Yeah, there is and like I say, around AI for the Earth and things like this, I've had a dozen conversations over the past few months. So that will be the job of the proper Coherence event, for which we need the app and all of this to do in the fall to really get everybody out there that's working on this stuff together. So we have a bunch of people that are friends that we talk to regularly, and we're going to make the big event to bring everybody together in the fall.
Oh, I'd love to see what you put together for that. I think because that's end of August. It's about 4 weeks away. Yeah. So yeah. But and then definitely from our end as we come to a position where we've got something that's usable, we'd love to invite you and your team to have a play around with it and and then
definitely.
and then we
and I would recommend starting to think about how to build a advisory council or some kind of a support group like this around go-to-market and the business case and fundraising. And I would love to contribute to that.
Great. That's easy done to bring groups like that together with the tech theoretically. So we've still got to build it and make it work, but it's theoretically it's all lovely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Pleasure, Victor, and enjoy the rest of your day and your walk. And thanks, Christine, for making the connection and setting it up. Yep.
Yes, thank you so much for putting us together.
Yeah, we'll
Awesome.
keep in touch.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, how I'm feeling, I'm looking forward to the next jam.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, I mean,
I'll
see
see you
if you
guys
can
there.
come, see if you can come to Czechia. You know, we can do it in person around the campfire. 5
Yeah.
days, you can come for 7 days in nature. It's just completely different dimension. I'm even happy to do a whole chunk of it in silence if you like.
It does look good. Check that. Yeah, check that event out. We'll see. I've got
All right.
my wife's in France at the moment, so
Oh,
I
there you go.
might
Not far.
might
Not far. Not far.
no. All right. Cool.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
All right,
very
guys.
much, everyone. Yeah, bye.